Oh, yes! Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast. You're brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. It's April 22nd. You'll be watching this on the 23rd or later. This is episode 137. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magicman. As always, tuning in every week. And joining me, the man who knows a thing or two about monetization. Jason Winter, how are you, sir?
I wish I knew more about monetization so I can get myself some more monies.
So you can monetize the winters.
I want to monetize myself. This space for rent, for like $500 an episode. I will.
Don't say that because somebody will take you up on that.
Okay, $1,000 an episode.
Now brought to you by Mountain Dew.
Oh, dude, no, it's gonna be like casinonet.com.
Right.
There we go.
Like when you watch boxing matches anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
The trunks are just slammed with .coms all
Some
over.
guy who had it like in the side of his head, in his hair. Yeah, it's a URL.
Speaking of that,
shaved in.
We got a little over a week. Are you a boxing aficionado, as it were?
No.
So you will not be partaking of the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight?
No.
Well, I'll let you know what happens.
I'm waiting. I can't wait to hear it.
Because I wish there was something that enabled you to find the results of sporting events very quickly after that happened. But until such a thing is invented, I will keep you posted.
You'll have to tell me. I'll have no clue.
All right, let's slide over and let me turn my mic down just a little bit. Let's slide over and get started with the news. All right. So we're going to talk about EverQuest first, and not just EverQuest or EverQuest 2 or Landmark or Next. We're going to talk about a bunch of them. And then there was news that broke last night into today, which I have not had even a second to type up. Maybe Jason has. I haven't even been able to look at the site itself besides the back end of the site today. It's one of those days. It's one of those days where I'm fixing things on the backside of stuff. So we'll see. Jason, I don't know. Did you write anything about EverQuest today? Because maybe you didn't catch this. If not, we'll talk about it.
No, I didn't. But
Okay.
Also, my back end is available for ads too.
Oh dear God. Dear God. All right. So EverQuest. Let's talk first about Landmark. You wrote a piece yesterday about some big changes coming to a number of patches that they were putting in place over the coming weeks here, and then you're going to be spending. Are you doing the hands-on thing with them?
Oh God,
Maybe
I should have responded to that probably. Now that I think of it, maybe I still can't. But yeah, I got me the email. I forgot about it until just now. But so yeah, anyway,
Jason will be doing an EverQuest Next hands-on demo stuff tomorrow.
Not EverQuest Next.
I'm sorry, Landmark, and then you wish it was hands-on with Next. And I'll be doing a Terra thing tomorrow as well. Now, they probably won't post for a couple of days due to embargo stuff, but we'll be sure to keep you all posted. So let's talk first about Landmark and some of the big updates that they're making there. Take me through it.
They're going to revamp the tutorial. They're going to try to make it a little more structured, a little easier for people to get through it, and while still not make it so that you must follow these exact things if you're an experienced player and just want to go out and start digging and crafting or whatever. But that's always one of the later things you get when you're in an alpha or beta or whatever. Because you figure the first people who get in there are going to be the ones who are reading all your blogs and watching your videos, and they know everything before they even get into the game. But at some point you have to put in a better tutorial for the people who aren't going to be those kind of super hardcore people. So. All right, and you approve with your sneeze. I got it.
See, now they didn't hear the sneeze because I muted me.
Oh, all right. Trust, he just sneezed, everybody. Just Well, you have your face up too, don't you? So they have...
No, I don't. I'm showing EverQuest game footage.
All right. Anyway, so yeah, they're going to do a rework on the tutorial. They're also going to really revamp the UI and also get into achievements. Which, hey, who doesn't love achievements in their MMO?
Yay!
So yeah, they're gonna have a lot of I think combat-based achievements, also non-combat ones. So, it's almost looking like a real MMO now.
It's getting there. It's getting there, but it's never really gonna be, is it? I just don't see Landmark becoming like an MMO RPG in the way we generally think of them. It's kind of like a different beast for me.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like Minecraft in that sense, which has some MMO-ish kind of things, but you don't really think of it necessarily as an MMO. It's more like granted, they have their own personalized servers, so it's a little different or their own internal servers run by SOE or Daybreak or whatever. It's a little different than setting up your own Minecraft server or setting up a server to play like an FPS or something like that. But so yeah, in that sense, it is a little more like an MMO. But yeah, it's close enough that it gets covered on MMO sites and whatever.
And it's free, so it gets covered on our site.
Will be free. So
it will be free at some point, someday. Who knows? So lots of changes on the landmark side of things. Now, there's also changes on the original EverQuest side of things. We're ditching expansions from now on. No more. So there's only been, 19? Something like that?
I think I counted 22.
22, some absurd number of expansions. As recently as last year during SOE Live, I remember them giving out versions of the latest expansion for 1 or 2. So we're not going to have expansions anymore, which is kind of sad to see go for the old dog, isn't it?
Yeah, because again, we talk about them having 22, and it's like, well, that's how many there are. They're never going to be, technically not going to be more expansions. They're going to be called something else. So.
Aww, it makes me sad. It makes me sad. But they're going to be releasing campaigns. So what the hell's a campaign? Well, basically, the way I read this, take an expansion's worth of content, break it into 2 updates that you get throughout the year rather than 1 update at the end of a year. And you basically have the idea of what a campaign is. Now, I kind of like this shift, particularly for older MMOs, because it does give them more lead time to adjust to things that players are saying they want. And you really, in my estimation, for an MMO that's as old as EverQuest is, you're not going to get too many new players anymore, right? An expansion isn't selling the game to new players for you like it did when you dropped your 2nd and 3rd expansions. Mm-hmm. So now you've really, really, really got to cater to the people that are still playing it. And being able to adapt on the fly a little faster with some of the things that they want to see as these campaigns progress, it totally makes sense for me. And we've seen it with EQ2 and DC Universe Online, where they take this smaller campaign format versus a full expansion format. Seems to be working there and catering to their base. So to me, ultimately, although I'm sad to see expansions go, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And the only thing you wonder about is, of course, we all have a concept of how big an expansion should be and how much content should be in there. And there's probably going to be a little bit of griping that, these 2 half expansions or DLCs, they aren't adding up to the same. And especially with everything that's been going on lately with Daybreak, the people who have been laid off the EQ team and so on, there's going to be a bit of work on their end to make sure that people are still on board with all this and make sure that they still think they're getting the same amount of content. And
pricing, obviously, is going to be a big concern. Right. And that it's to be determined.
Yeah, they haven't announced that yet.
They haven't announced the pricing. But since you are paying anywhere from $50 to $119 for these expansion sets, depending on which version you actually buy, I would assume that we could probably expect things in the ballpark of $25, $30 per campaign. I think.
I want to say that DC Universe Online does theirs. How cheap? I thought they were a lot cheaper than that.
Well, DC Universe Online also gives those campaigns free to subscribers.
Free to the subscriber. Well, I imagine if you're a Station Pass member, you'll get the. That's actually an interesting point. I don't think they mentioned that.
Nope.
If you're a Station Pass guy, do you get that stuff for free?
I would hope so.
I would think so.
I mean, you're paying every month, but with previous ones, you weren't getting them for free either. So
well, you think they would have mentioned that in the initial, mention that hey, you're going to get stuff for free now?
I think that's kind of lumped under the pricing to be determined. We'll figure it all out. But this goes with your monetization stuff that we talked about last week, though. It's like if you have an idea, take care of those that are taking care of you. Get it out there now. Don't let rumors fester.
Actually, now that I look at the initial post by Holly Longdale, the first response is, are these campaigns going to be paid for? If so, what are the price points?
Yep.
It's like the first question they have.
And I'm not sure why the question is there. I mean, I understand, but it tells me that they didn't read the whole post.
Well, sure.
Because the last sentence says, there is going to be a pricing structure. We just don't know what it is yet. We'll discuss it later. Let me ask you this, though. So we see EQ2 being scaled back. We see the original EQ being scaled back. And I think it's fair to say scaled back, not just in terms of content, but also in terms of staff, now that it's Daybreak game. Does this kind of play into one and or both eventually going away? We've kind of alluded to this before, that as Next gets closer and closer and closer, we kind of speculated that we'll probably see EQ go away, EQ2 hang on while Next is running for a little while, and then eventually go away. Do you still agree with that kind of timeline, or does this change things, seeing the layoffs that we have over the past few months, seeing the games updates maybe scaled back a little bit, or are you comfortable with the timeline still?
I don't know that they'll necessarily go away. I agree with the scaling back concept of things, and the model I've been using for a while now to think of how they might do this is what ArenaNet does with Guild Wars. Like, they have Guild Wars 2, and it makes boatloads more cash than Guild Wars does. But they still keep Guild Wars up and running. They actually have their 10th anniversary coming up. They're going to do a little bit of something for that, but they shifted that into maintenance mode like two and a half years ago after Guild Wars 2 came out. And I think just because they are EverQuest, because it's Ever freaking Quest, if they shut that down, it's just such a terrible PR hit, I think. So I think at the very worst, they keep it going. Of course, we're going to talk about the progression server. They might do something like that. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if they cut that down to, say, one campaign a year at some later point, or maybe even less frequent than that. I think they'll keep it around, but only in a maintenance mode kind of way.
I don't know. I think in what they're trying to do with EverQuest Next, I think there might be a push, particularly now that it's Daybreak and there's an investment company behind some things. There might be a push to, why pay for this, even if we're going to have it in maintenance mode, when we could potentially push those people into a newer, better game that is more investment worthy on our side. I don't know.
Because, oh man, Sony never wanted to make money. They were happy with SOE just pissing money away left and right. But now they have this big, nasty investment firm involved. They're going to make all the decisions.
Here's the other thing that was kind of funny today. And really, it's going to be hard for you to find proof of this if you're watching this show now. Because it happened on the 21st into the 22nd. You're watching this the 23rd, and the destruction of all things alluding to this happening is already happening on Daybreak's forums, on the EverQuest forums. So EverQuest put in a new patch to update the test servers, because they are putting in a progression server too. We'll talk about that in a second. I want your opinion on a progression server in general. And it had some key things in it. Fine, no big deal. Great. Put the patch in, do your thing. But there was a unintended consequence, as there always is. Did you hear about this, Jason?
No, I haven't.
You're going to love this.
Okay.
So the patch kind of foobarred the in-game cash shop. Yeah, and all the items got cheap. Really.
Oh, actually, now I have heard about this.
Really cheap.
A little bit, yeah.
Like 10 station coin cheap. And this wasn't just for EverQuest either.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Now, this is where it starts to get a little because things are being pulled down and banned on the forums, and closed threads and deleted threads all over the place referencing this. So you're going to have to... Reddit is probably your best hit if you want to go check some of this information out, because I'm sure our friends at Reddit have screenshots and everything posted before Daybreak could get rid of a bunch of this stuff, particularly the forum posts.
I'm going now. I'm looking
Yep. So here's what happened. A lot of players thought, hey, great prices, spend, 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 and got banned. Got their accounts banned. Whether or not they'll be permanent, I mean, we don't know. We're still sorting this out. It's kind of just breaking right now. But right now it's, well, these are the prices. I bought a bunch of stuff. You banned me. That wasn't our intent. We're banning this. We're closing this. So it's a bit of a shady mess right now. But yeah, so good old EverQuest patching. Woo. Yay.
So when you say everything, does that mean that it worked across multiple games that this happened?
Yeah, it was not just EverQuest items.
Oh man.
Yeah, it impacted the shop as a whole.
Wow.
Now I don't know if it was every item across every game. Again, we're still trying to dig into it, and it's getting harder for us to find information. So, Reddit.
So
Yeah, fun stuff.
But yeah.
But
Yeah.
look, let me ask you, okay, come on. We've had the argument about exploits versus bugs versus abuse of a game mechanic that is functioning the way it's supposed to, but you've found a creative use for it. We've talked about all this before, and whether you should get banned for this or not banned for that. But this comes down to, for me, if you get banned for this, I think, in my opinion, the company's in the wrong.
Hmm.
The company is
I pretty much agree.
absolutely 100% in the wrong. This is like when I go to Best Buy, right? And there is something on the shelf, and there's a tag that clearly references that. It's not in the wrong place. It's not a silly tag. It's a correct tag for the correct SKU that I'm going to buy, and it says 19.99, and I take it up to the register, and they scan it, and it comes up 49.99 because the tag that is still stuck to the shelf was a sale tag from a week ago. Tough nuggets. I get that for 19.99. Go change your sign so somebody else doesn't. That's the way retail works. To me, this falls in that same bucket. I mean, really, this should have been, if you thought there was even a chance that this was going to impact the shop, then that should have been your first QA stop, even with a limited team, because that's your income stream.
Mm-hmm.
Second, it went live. You made money. Technically, you really lost nothing, right? Even in this case, they're digital goods.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't lose anything. People bought stuff. Yeah, they bought it for insanely cheap, but it was a price that you had advertised there and the shop let them complete the transaction. In my book, this one doesn't count. If you got banned for this, I'm solely on the player's side. Am I crazy in that assertion?
I could see, resetting the sales. Like, in other words, they don't let you walk out with the TV. You have to, whatever. I kind of get that. I could see at least resetting the sales and refunding people station cash and getting rid of the items they bought. That's as far as I would go. Banning people for it, though, yeah, I don't agree with.
See, I can't even go with you on that.
Well, I mean, I'm
me,
trying to at least give them some sort of. I agree. They probably should honor it.
What does it hurt to honor it?
Well,
what does it hurt?
I can agree. You talk about how it's digital goods doesn't actually cost them. I sort of get that. That you could say everything should go for like 1 penny or something because hey, you just make more pixels.
Right.
That's not how
you
it works.
assigned an arbitrary value to the item to begin with.
Yeah, I know.
Right. So it's.
But it's not arbitrary because to some extent they do decide, hey, if we're going to make this thing that's going to take our artists, X man hours to make, we have to sell it for $5. We have to sell it for $8 to make up for the cost that it paid to keep those guys around or whatever. So
right. So once you sell 30 of it, you're done. It's all profit from there.
I'm glad it's that easy.
You got the trick is selling the 30 of some of these items.
Well,
of
yeah.
course. But
a lot of the artists work for that cheap that they're it costs them $150 to make that thing.
To me, there's nothing wrong, even if a player got really shady and was like, honey, give me the credit card for $1,000. I'm going to go in and get all this stuff I've always wanted but
Sure.
never wanted to buy because it was $6,000 and they got it for $1,000. You know what? Good on you, player. You happen to show up on Black Friday in Sony's cash shop or Daybreak Games cash shop. In the end, it doesn't really cost Daybreak much to do this, and you fixed it fast enough that it's not going to be an ongoing thing. To me, it's one of those things that should just be like, hey, we goofed. You guys get to enjoy the spoils of that one. We made a little cash in the process anyway. No harm, no foul. Prices are fixed. Move forward. This one's just silly that there's banning. If you really, really want to investigate somebody that bought 7,000 experience potions, like totally absurd, unreasonable numbers, fine, go ahead and investigate them. But I don't want to spend time getting into the line drawing on what is too much and what is not enough. So to me, we fixed the prices. We made a little bit of money. It's not as much as we normally would have made on those. You guys got some goods. No harm, no foul. Move on. I don't know. I think it's stupid to start banning people for stuff like this. And then shutting the threads down. What?
I mean, it depends on how they were worded exactly, but yeah, I mean, if they're just people talking about this happening, then yeah, you probably shouldn't. Unless they were saying, stupid idiot devs, F you, F this, that, sure.
Maybe I'm way off base. If I'm totally nuts YouTube and on the site, let me know in the comments below. If you totally feel Daybreak should be passing out bans and stuff, if you're on my side, let me know too. I don't know. it was such a small window that I can't imagine they got pummeled sales-wise. Let it go. Last thing before we slide off of EverQuest, though, they are adding to the original EverQuest a brand new progression server, so this will bring the total to 3, I believe. I think they already have 2, so this will bring the third one. If you don't know what a progression server is, because I didn't for a long time, because I didn't play games that were old enough to really warrant a progression server at that time. So what a progression server is it starts the game with usually the base game itself, and maybe the first expansion or two already launched and ready to go. And so people go on and they play it, and they play it, and they play the content, and then they get to a point where they can't do anything anymore because they're at the current raids for that first or second expansion. And so then there's a vote system where everybody on the server votes, okay, go ahead and open up the next expansion. And Daybreak goes in, opens it up, the new content becomes available. It's a cool way for you to go back and play a game like EverQuest and experience the content in the way it was meant to be experienced for players who were there from the beginning, and the way it was experienced for them. Progress, progress, progress. I think it's a cool idea. There's not too many games that I would put it on. EverQuest would definitely be one of them. EQ2 would be one of them. I would say put one in Final Fantasy XI, but I don't really think there's a point because the player base isn't high enough to do some of the stuff, and there's been total revamps in the way experience works. That's another thing, is that they do revert some of those systems. So like your experience gains will be smaller than if you were on a live server. So there's lots of little tweaks to that.
But they're not doing that for EverQuest, I read. They are going with a modern XP curve.
But it's the one I read said it was going to be a little lower, actually.
Maybe a little in between, but maybe not exactly.
Yeah, it's not going to be the way it was, but it's not going to be quite as high as current.
Sure.
I like the idea, particularly for EverQuest. Would you ever play on a progression server, though, Jason? If you had maybe me and 3 or 4 other friends, we were just going to do it, would that interest you at all?
You see, the funny thing is, I actually was reading over on Massively OP a little earlier today, and saw a thread about this by the Lotro writer, talking about, hey, what if Lotro did this? Which
that was going to be my follow-up question. With 16 updates, would you do that?
And the answer is, I don't think I would. What we did about 3 or 4 years, I guess maybe 4 or 5 years ago, was I took some friends and we just made new characters, rolled alts, and we just played them together, one night a week. And we did that. We did kind of like the old stuff. We went through and did the old dungeons and whatever. And I was able to do it on that level. Like, I don't feel like I needed a progression server structure kind of thing. If you don't have that kind of, if you don't have a bunch of friends like that you want to do that with, I guess that would make a little more sense. Like if I would right now, with me not having being really active in Lotro or having a guild, if I wanted to get back into it, would I do that? Answer is, I don't really think I would, just because I've already done all that stuff and it was cool at the time. But I would still feel like I'm not. Back then, it felt like you were more on the cutting edge. Like, oh, this is the new raid. I can't wait to do this. That wouldn't be the case. I'd just be playing old content again, which just doesn't thrill me to any great extent.
Well, then let me pose the question to you like this. I can understand, like, I'm not going to go back into Final Fantasy XI and play a progression server, because, like you said, I've already done that. I've been through all of it. But if you were going to play an older game like EverQuest that you had never played before,
the first time,
would you look at a progression server as an option for you then? I certainly would, provided I had a couple of friends to do this with. Because I don't want to go on there and just end up pugging everything and have to re-meet people and everything. I would like to go and experience the content, but I would like to have people that I know to do it with.
Well, that's the other issue too with trying to pug, is you're going to go in, and if you've never played the game before, you're not going to know the dungeons and the raids.
Right.
They're all going to. They're going to speed through it. You're going to be the noob who probably can't get into anything. So, yeah, it's not something I could imagine doing alone.
I would totally do it, though. If I had, me, you, and we get like 2 people, I would do it.
Now that I'm thinking of it, I did play WoW recently. Not really recently, like a few months ago, and I'm not a WoW person. Got up to like level 50 or so. But yeah, that's a sort of game that I don't really know. So I'm sort of thinking to myself, would I do that? Even putting aside that WoW players can be kind of jerks or whatever, but is that the sort of thing where I would want to go in?
Ooh, but there's a caveat with WoW. What's that? I don't think they could do it. I don't know if they would have the capability to re-establish the world pre-Cataclysm.
we're already talking Magic and Voodoo and whatever, so let's assume they can.
Let's assume they can. All right.
Yeah, even if they could, I think that would be tough for me to get into, just because, like I said, not knowing that stuff as well as other people do would make me feel like I'm just at a terrible disadvantage.
Right? And hey, this expansion isn't open yet, so guess what? Your mount's expensive and you can't get it to level 40. All right, let's move on. Let me know in the comments, though, if you'd play on a progression server. It doesn't have to be EverQuest. Just let me know what you would think of playing on one. Heroes of the Storm finally getting an official launch date, although for all intents and purposes, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of people that still haven't been able to get into the game. So the official launch date for Heroes of the Storm is June 2nd. Open beta is going to go live on the 19th or the 20th of May, depending on if you read their YouTube video information or their actual press release. 2 different dates on both. So the 19th, the 20th of May, roundabout there, you'll go into open beta and be able to play that. First off, let me ask you this. Just general thoughts on the game. We haven't really reviewed this game because the first look came prior to you and I doing the show again. General thoughts. I mean, for me, great. It's a MOBA. I do appreciate that for me, it's a little more accessible than a League of Legends or a Dota 2. The meta game isn't quite the established meta that's in League of Legends and other games like that. But at the end of the day, for me, it's just kind of
It tosses in a few twists with the kind of different like events that go on the battlefield where you have to collect
mounts,
things,
of course,
run them back, whatever. Yeah, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, and of course it has all the Blizzard characters backing it up, so that's going to be a huge IP boost for it, that sort of thing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a MOBA. It's kind of neat. It's meant to be a little more casual, but
Is it ready for launch, do you think?
That's the weird thing about MOBAs. It just seems like you have this, you have Smite was in beta for like 8 decades, something like that. Dota 2 had a pretty long open beta period. It's weird that MOBAs seem to be stuck in betas longer than just about anything. And I realize it's not like I think a lot of games you play they're really, if you play a lot of games early on, they're just badly optimized, have game breaking bugs, and we've seen that so much down early access and whatever. And MOBAs don't really seem to usually be that bad on that sort of thing. I imagine a lot of the beta process is about tweaking and balancing and making sure it's a proper competitive environment and so on, much more than just fixing broken stuff all the time. So on that level, they seem like they're not as bad. And it seems almost odd in that they are in beta for as long as they are. If you're just kind of looking from outside, or just if you like casually jump in and play a couple of games, you're going to play this and go, oh, this is all right. Why is it still in beta? I've played games that are in horrible shape in beta, and this one seems okay if you're not paying attention to exact balance and team construction and all that. So
yeah, I mean, mechanically it works very well, and you really wouldn't expect anything else out of Blizzard on that aspect of things.
Like I said, that's how it is for every MOBA.
But
seems, at least.
My concern is 30 heroes. There's a little over 30 heroes at launch, and obviously they're going to add more, but I don't know if that's going to attract the League of Legends or Dota players that are not only playing the game for the matches themselves, but also play the hell out of that metagame with all the champions and the items and all the things that go with it. I don't think 30 really gives them that. So they're going to have to wait for that type of gameplay.
If that's your opinion, then that's totally just Blizzard getting a dose of their own medicine. Because what do you often hear when a new MMO launches? It's okay, but it doesn't have as much stuff as WoW does. Well, WoW's been out for 10 years. Of course they have more stuff. So, sorry.
So we'll have to see. I don't know. Here's the big question. If we consider the big 3 in the MOBA space to be obviously League of Legends, Dota 2, and some would argue, but we're going to put Smite in there in 3rd place, right? Some would argue that one.
I'm pulling up the old EDAR report that showed everything. Hang on a sec.
If we put those as the big 3, does Heroes of the Storm have a chance? Maybe, I don't know, we're looking back a year from now, a year from launch, or 2 years, whatever. Does Heroes of the Storm have the chance to bump one of those 3 out of the top 3?
Well, the EDAR report says that people of all mobile players, most played is League of Legends. 76% of people say that. Dota 2, 41%. Smite, 16%. Heroes of the Storm, 12%. And this is before Heroes of the Storm even launches. It's already almost up to Smite's level. So yeah, I definitely think it can make that top 3 at least.
I don't think it has a problem bumping Smite.
No.
I thought that before I even asked the question when I was typing the show notes. But
So
I
you
do have.
just handed me the softball.
I do. Yeah, it was a little bit of a softball, but I do want to say that I don't know. Obviously, I don't think it's ever going to knock League of Legends off. No matter how good it is and how blizzardy it is, it's just not going to do it. I don't even think it beats Dota 2 when it comes to sheer man hours played at any time soon. I maybe years from now, maybe, but I think it's going to knock Smite off out of the top 3 pretty quickly, and then I think it's just going to sit there for years in that 3rd spot.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree. I don't think you can really catch Dota 2. I think Dota 2's got too much of like both a head start and just, like I said, the venerable nature. Even though it's not Dota 1, it still has that same legacy from that. And so in a way, people have been playing Dota for, again, several years.
And dear God, Internet, please do not take that as I think this is better than this. This is better than this.
That's all that matters. The number of people playing a game.
So yeah, I'm not comparing, obviously, one game to the other as far as quality goes. I don't have a personal favorite out of the 3 anyway, but I do think eventually it'll knock Smite out of there as far as players.
Behind it's going to get pretty good numbers, but I don't know that's going to be super elite, probably because, like I said, the other games are just too entrenched.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. All right, moving on. Last up, we covered the other 2 pretty long, so just kind of give us an overview. Every time we do a first look, we kind of bring that game into the show to give you a little more of a review on it, since our first looks are, just generally a look. You're the Total War guy. You love Total War. Love it, love it, love it. You did a first look for Total War Battles Kingdom. Give us some honest opinions, and just take us through the game briefly here.
Basically, it's a mobile game that for some reason is on PC. Reason I can't quite comprehend. Oh, I forgot to grab my phone. I was going to get the little chime going off. But yeah, it's the sort of thing where I could see myself playing it if on my mobile device. It's going to be on, I think, tablets later on. I don't think they mentioned phones, but I think they said it's going to be on tablets. I could see it as the sort of thing I might want to play around with for a few minutes here and there. And the battles themselves have some kind of interesting strategy to them. But I'm just not going to want to sit at my computer, sit at my PC, and want to play this. Because when I do, I'm going to play for 10, 15 minutes. Then I'm going to have to leave it for several hours. Not for hours, technically. Most stuff gets done in like 20 minutes, but I'm not going to think that I'm going to log back in 20 minutes later and do it all again. It's just
so it's one of those pay to kill the timer type deals?
Well, that, and they even have, when you're in a battle, you can pay to get some sort of bonus, make you guys a little better,
Oh, ouch.
And I only got into the PvE part of things, which, okay, whatever. If I want to spend money to beat the computer, so be it. I don't know what that's going to be like. In PvP, that would be just, that would be the complete turnoff. Now, granted, you get a fair bit of gold from doing stuff in game, but if you realize that to be the best and to get up there, you're going to have to spend money. Yeah, no thanks.
Did you see that they're making a Total War Warhammer?
Yeah, that was just announced today. Unfortunately, I'm not that into the Warhammer mythos universe, etc.
Oh, see, I'm just like lukewarm on Total War, but I enjoy the Warhammer, so that could be good for me. Now, obviously, that's not going to be free to play. That's going to be
that's going to be a full PC release.
Yeah, it's going to be a full PC release, but definitely looking forward to that one.
And they are still working. They are still working apparently on Total War Arena, which is going to be a free to play game, which I think still looks kind of interesting. Hopefully, they don't go the mobile waiting, spending, whatever route with that.
So avoid this one on PC, maybe pick it up for mobile?
Yeah, that'd be my general.
All right, let's slide over to the bombs. You go first, sir.
All right, I'm going to give an A-bomb to in-game cash shop ads. Now, I'm not against, marketing your cash shop. I know you have to do that in a free-to-play game. But this came up over the weekend, and not a free-to-play game. It was an Elder Scrolls Online, where apparently they were doing a big welcome back weekend, so they got to try to get people back in who hadn't been in the game for a while. And apparently at some point, it would flash across the screen, you can buy the whatever horse or whatever it was for a few dollars. That bugs me. You want to put it on your load screen, you want to put it on your launcher. You even want to have, like I talked a while back, I was like, I'm surprised free-to-play games don't put, like or a game like The Secret World doesn't have like a Coca-Cola billboard or a buy the stuff, ad, in a thing in the game world. I can kind of go for that. I'm okay with that. But having just text appear on my screen, prompting me to buy something while I'm in the middle of playing, that's just no.
Just no. I'm even against the ones where it flashes in the middle of your... Where is your screen? You disappeared on the multi-host.
Disappeared?
Yeah. Hold on. Let's get you back. I don't know where you're hiding.
Well, they don't need to see me. Having me not appear would probably get you more views. Give them more views.
So yeah, I'm even against when, and Neverwinter does this all the time, or at least used to. I don't know if they still do. I'll be taking a look at the Oathbound Paladin, probably on Bomb Live next Monday. But when they flash so-and-so won this mount from a lockbox, ugh. All right, my bomb this week is also an A bomb. I'm going to give it to Star Wars: The Old Republic's 12 times the experience on the Class Quest boost. So they did this prior to the Shadow of Revan launch, where if you pre-ordered and you were a subscriber, you could get 12 times the experience on your Class Quest, which is great if you're a subscriber and you want to just burn through an alt's Class Quest and get them up there, and you have some credits to pass back and forth so that you can mitigate the drastically out-leveling your gear because you're not doing any of the side stuff and probably not any of the flashpoints on your way through. So I like the idea of the boost itself, particularly because I find Star Wars side quests to be ridiculously tedious, and I don't know why. It's not like they're that different from other MMOs, but
and that's exactly why, because they're not that different from
But here's what I think. I think they're bringing this back on May the 4th. On May the 4th. Funny. Nice job. But it's only for subscribers again. And I think this bonus could be better served PR-wise by giving it to everybody. And I realize why they're not, right? They want to try and give it as a perk to subscribe or entice Jason to come back and subscribe because he can finally cap off that 40 character and get it all the way to level cap very quickly. I get it. And try and get a little bit of money out of Jason at the same time. But when you give it to your subscribers, you're going to be giving it to subscribers who already pay you and are going to pay you regardless because they're going to continue to subscribe, and they're going to use it to burn through some alts or some class stories that they haven't played, because typically your subscribers, at this point, most of your core subscription base has at least one character up there at max level and is doing other things. Yeah, there's some that aren't, but most of them are. I think this would be better served for giving it to everybody, free to play or not. That entices me as somebody that maybe checked it out to level 15 and hated that side stuff to not only come back and play, but to be able to get to endgame very quickly and maybe realize I should subscribe or buy a couple of these things from the cash shop so that I can continue to do unlimited flashpoints or operations or PvP or whatever. I think it's better served as a PR tool that way than just, hey, if you want this, you have to subscribe. So I'm going to give it an A-bomb because I think it could be better utilized for long-term PR.
I think it's cute how you still think they prioritize PR over profit.
All right, to the viewers, Lagwin1980 says, and not a peep, talking about last show, about the upcoming 2.0 patch for Path of Exile. True, it's not out yet, but there's some massive news for the game. Desync has been fixed with a lockstep mode. If your latency means you can't use lockstep, there are more fixes to the standard method of sync. Massive Act 4, new mechanics involving the passive tree and quality of life fixes, including customizable loot filters. So, da-bomb for Path of Exile, and I hate to say it, but A-bomb for MMO bomb for not picking it up in any news article that I could see. Well, we'll take the A-bomb. To be fair, however, it wasn't even in beta at the time that we did the last episode, so to be fair. But we'll take the A-bomb. Go ahead.
All right, Blaze143 says, "Hey, Magic Man." I don't know why I'm reading this, but yeah, I'll do it anyway.
Because it's kind of silly if I ask myself questions, I guess.
It's been a while since I played Final Fantasy XIV, and last I knew you were in a cast with Mr. Happy, if I remember correct. Why you no do it anymore?
Yes, so Mr. Happy and I did XIV Reborn. It was a podcast, a weekly podcast on Game Breaker TV about Final Fantasy XIV. And we will do it again. However, my schedule right now really only gives me enough time to do MMO Bomb, and sometimes not even that. Like today, it's the Jason Winter show as far as articles go. So probably mid to late May, that may come back. Mega 17 A-bomb to Acid Nerve, the developers of Titan Souls, for acting like children towards Total Biscuit and spoiling my pure enthusiasm for their game, something I haven't felt about a game since Transistor. TB apparently doesn't like boss rushes, but the developer's reactions, including calling him Toilet Biscuit, means zero chance of seeing Titan Souls covered on a WTF is episode, and now I must play the game with this incident floating in the back of my mind. Loving Titan Souls so far, but all this needless drama makes my heart ache. That's Devs,
don't pick fights with your reviewers. Just don't.
Don't pick fights with viewers and potential players, and certainly don't pick them with somebody that has the following that Total Biscuit does. If you disagree with him, I'm fine with you posting stuff on, hey, we think he was unfair here and here. And even TB has come back to certain things developers have said about not liking something he said and either rebutted it or changed his viewpoint after he saw a little something. So you got a guy that's willing to at least give it a second look if you're giving him, some flack about something. But to start the name calling,
yeah, not so good.
Next up.
All right, Nanbo Pally says, don't go back to Rift. Nothing this patch brings serves its core problems. Horrid dungeon mechanics, poor class builds, brain-numbing content, instant solo quests, change nothing. Wardrobe changes nothing, considering its models are piss ugly, etc., etc. But did it fix inventory issues? But I hope not.
So yeah, Nambo Pally's a longtime viewer who occasionally Nambo and I get into it on different topics because it's gaming. We disagree on some things, but Nambo's got a good perspective on things, and kind of occasionally looks at things in a way that I wouldn't even think to look at them, and I'm like, yeah, I hate to admit it, but you're right there. So yeah, thumbs up, Nambo. I'm not going back to Rift. Yes, I did like some of the stuff in the update, but not enough to go back. And some people last episode asked what my boycott was all about. I don't remember the episode number it was, but a couple of months ago, Jason and I really tore into ArcAge on an episode. I mean, really tore into it. And including the way they screwed up the dolphin mount thing and just everything that they've done wrong with that game. And so I am now boycotting Rift and have been since then. My poor mage is still sitting at level 61. It's not even at the new level cap. I haven't even used my instant boost to 60 for buying the thingy, the package, the Nightmare package. Because to me, Tryon Worlds is dropping the ball with ArcAge, and it's really putting players in a position where they feel like they are just not valued at all. And Tryon is getting to sit back and say, we're not the developers of the game. We're trying to get XL Games to fix this stuff. But some of the stuff is squarely on the publisher, the cash shop issues and stuff like that. So until they get ArcAge to a point where their players aren't feeling taken for granted, and as a wallet, I'm boycotting Rift because I do actually spend money in Rift when I play it. Speaking of ArcAge...
Good segue.
Good segue. Last week, I asked the viewers, if you play ArcAge, tell me what rocks about the game. If not, or if you used to play it and you left, tell me what ArcAge could do to win you back. Why a Name says, I personally have not played ArcAge. Why? Well, I really liked the game when it was in development, but when they abandoned it, it made the game look weak, sort of, and I thought it would launch and soon will close its doors, and that's pretty much seemed so for a long time because of the bad news every week. I never want to play a game that I can't even finish, but now it doesn't seem to be the case of ArcAge anymore. The thing keeping me from playing is that the bad things still continue. Specifically, issues with land grabbing. Would love to see a cap to land grabbing or something or anything on that front, really. Overall, if the current things would be fixed, then the game would get a lot of players to join. Yet, I think even after that, I think I still wouldn't play the game. So why I still wouldn't play it? Well, there are tons of games who fuck up less and the game is too unreliable to me. And I think that last sentence is a nice summation.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something you have with any, free-to-play especially, but video games just in general, because there's so many out there. If you're going to put out a subpar product that are going to tick people off, they're just going to go to something else because there's a million other options out there. It's not like back when it was just EverQuest and nothing else. So.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, you got like the 6 paragraphs there, and then I get this guy.
Well, I'm going to have you take the next 2 because /Coon, I have to take that one because I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot.
All right. So Will Gray says 2 things: voice acting, and I don't want to hold the left mouse button to look around. Again, simple things like that. Even if 10 years ago that was what all MMOs had, he'd have dealt with it. But now there's other fish in the sea, babe.
We're spoiled.
We're not spoiled. We're just
picky.
we have more options. We have more options. Then Jacob Peter Christensen says, question of the week answer. I quit playing Arcade after 2 to 3 weeks due to the massive amounts of cheaters found in the game, teleporting back and forth doing instant trade runs, and hackers claiming housing plots without even being anywhere near the spot or even in the same area. This completely ruined the game for me since these 2 aspects are such an important gameplay mechanic, directly impacting the economy, crafting, and in the end, inevitably, players' abilities to compete in PvP. Every time I receive an email update from Arcade/Tryon, I just simply delete it. I don't even open and read it. Going back to the game now would also leave me with no plots to farm, making it even less attractive to pick up once more. I simply don't see it happening.
Common thread.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a game that is all about getting stuff early, and people who aren't there early are just not going to get back in, not into it.
This last one's from /Coon. Now, /Coon wrote, if you check out last week's episode on YouTube, Slash wrote a ton of information as an Arcade player, and it is so appreciated. You have no idea. Thank you so much. I mean, it broke a bunch of pieces of information down on well, this is fixed and this isn't fixed, and this is just great. It's long, but go read it. So I
did you use run-on sentences?
Oh, yes. So I kind of bulleted a couple of these. So /Coon says, for Arcade, I like the game and I'm still playing it. For me, I like how the game is played and that you don't need to go one path to get to your goal. You can farm and gain enough gold with TR if you're smart. You can go and fish for all your labor, again, your gold. You can craft your gear if you believe in your RNG, and if you don't get any good prefix for your build, then sell it and sell the salvage as part of it, now that Obsidian stuff is out. Or you could just buy the gear you want depending on how you make your money, so you're free to do what you want in the game. For the factions, nothing special, but Pirate one that can do way less than the other 2 factions, but that's it. And /Coon went on and on and on and kind of hit the main concerns, the land grabbing, the labor points, and just broke it way down. I wish I could read the whole thing here, but it'd be another 10 minutes. So if you want to get an Arcade player's perspective on some of these things, / did a great job summing this up in the comments. Whether you agree or not, that's a different story, but definitely worth the read.
One question I might have is, did he say if he was a subscriber or not?
Did not. Just said player.
Because definitely the labor point issue, but for subscribers versus non-subscribers is certainly a big turnoff for me, at least.
Correct. Question of the week for this week. Tell me what you think of Tree of Savior. I put up a closed beta 2 footage yesterday in Korea. A lot of people are tracking Tree of Savior and talking about it on mmobomb.com. Are you one of the excited ones? Why or why not? I gotta say, I love the art style. Freaking love the art style. So I'll elaborate next week. Until next week, Jason, where can everybody find you, sir?
Find me on Twitter at WinterInformal. Find my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/JasonWinter. Blog is jasonwinter.wordpress.com, and maybe I'll even put stuff on it again someday. There's old stuff there. Go look at all that.
Until next week, gang, make sure you put your comments and your questions and your answers to the question of the week in the comments below on YouTube or over at mmobomb.com. We put up, between Monday and Wednesday, we've put up at least 5 different giveaways, and I'm still working on some more. So check out the site for some free goodies. Until next time, I'm Magic Man. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.